have the power to take back the Democratic Party. You have the power to take our country back, and you have the power to take the White House back in 2004.
We're back. That was former Vermont Governor Howard Dean announcing his campaign for president back in June of 2003. You have the power was repeated by Dean all over the trail and used to connect with young people and create a grassroots movement during the 2004 presidential campaign. But the generation of young people and first-time voters who participated in the electoral process in record numbers, inspired by Dean's and then by Barack Obama's campaigns, have resisted launching their own careers in public office. The New York Times writes today, unlike John F. Kennedy and Ronald Reagan, who inspired virtual legislatures of politicians and became generational touchstones, Mr. Obama has so far had little such influence. That is all the more remarkable considering he came to office tapping into a spirit of volunteerism and community service that pollsters say is widespread and intense among young people. Can President Obama tap the energy of young people again off the campaign trail to rally behind his agenda and achieve big things in the last 3 years, practically 3 years of his presidency still to go? Howard Dean was governor of Vermont and chairman of the Democratic National Committee. Governor, it is so fascinating and dreadful to me in a way. Every time I meet a young person in their early 20s, just out of college, and I'm lucky to meet some really good ones, they talk about joining Teach for America or City Year, or in a rare case, too rare, I would argue, because I was there and learned so much from them at the Peace Corps. And yet, when you ask them who wants to run for office, it's the odd duck. Very few people like you as a young guy were so successful in politics. What's happening, and what can the president, what can you, can other people, especially on the progressive side, do to get people to actually get off their butts and run for office? Because without that, it's not going to work out very well for that point of view.
There's two problems, Chris. One is the horrendous state that Congress is in. You know, it's populated by people mostly on the Republican side who put their party in front of their country. There should be some ability to work together, and there just isn't because the minority party just refuses to do it, the majority in the House. So that's part of it. But the real issue has nothing to do with Obama or anybody else. It's the internet. Why would you put 30 years of your life into politics, building a career, and hope to participate in 3 or 4 major issues maybe, when you can go online and find 100,000 people and get stuff done right away? Remember, you know, we all protested, we all marched around the Pentagon and all these kinds of things over the Vietnam War. It took us 7 years to shut the war down. They went online for 3 days and got rid of one of the very few bipartisan bills, the intellectual property bill 3 years ago, because they thought it was biased towards content provider. The internet is such a strong tool. I think they really believe they really don't need politics. It's kind of become irrelevant.
Well, does that mean you don't have to get off their chair? You just work with your laptop? I mean, is that it?
No,
is that going to be our future? Laptop existence? Because people don't go door to door. They don't give good speeches. They don't arouse people. They don't lead. You're saying you can be a leader from your laptop. I question that. I don't think I don't have a list of great leaders who have done it that way. I know I'm putting words in your mouth. Your way of saying it.
Yeah, you are putting words in my mouth, but it's a legitimate. I mean, there is a crew that we call slacktivists in the generation that does do everything on laptop. But there, as you pointed out, there are lots more that are working in Rwanda or Burundi, trying to and creating empowerment communities there and changing everything. I know a woman who's 18 years old. She's now 25. She has invented a foreign aid model that's much more effective than USAID, and she figured it out herself when she was 18 years old in South Sudan. They're Teach for America is populated inner city education. Chris, you know you're a veteran of the civil rights movement. You got into politics shortly after all that was going on. Served in Congress under Tip O'Neill. In terms of working for him. You remember those days with these guys just going on. They don't make speeches. They don't do those things. They just go out and get it done. And Teach for America and this younger generation is revolutionizing education in the inner city, and neither Democrats or Republicans were able to do that over a 40-year period.
Okay, let's get personal now. What I really liked about your campaign, besides the fact you were the first guy with the gall to get out there and fight a stupid war, the Iraq War, way ahead of John Kerry, as you know, way ahead of everybody, with the possible exception of the president, but you were ahead of him. You gave that speech back. You were out there on the hustling. My son Michael worked for you. By the way, he served in Rwanda, working with the Clinton Global Initiative over there, fighting AIDS. And so we're very proud of what you did. But that thing about you, we showed it that opening clip. I don't feel the president has been able, except in the campaign itself, both campaigns, which he's very effective at, getting the interactive going, getting people engaged like Jack Kennedy did back in the 60s when I was still in high school back there. And he would say things like, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. That spirit of engagement, of participation, I don't think it's there. You say it's there on the laptop. I'm not sure it's there.
No, I think it is there, but I agree. The laptop is the organizing model, but the fact is that there are tons and tons of these kids in the field. What isn't there is the reverence and expectation that politics is the way to fix all this. That's the problem. Look at law school, for example. A lot of the way to into politics was law. A lot of the law school's applications were down 30 or 40% last year. That's partly because of student debt and partly because people just don't think you need that kind of an education to change things. Chris, I really don't blame except for the refusal to get anything done, which is not necessary. I really don't blame the politicians for this one. I think they've just been bypassed by the net, and they don't offer much of a model. You have a bunch of people running around Congress who are really interested in themselves, not interested in the country. I think this younger generation is interested in the country, and they're not, as some of their elders portray them, a bunch of people sitting and playing video games. Are there some people like that? Yes. But as you know, it's the top 15 or 20% of any generation that defines the generation. I think this generation already is going to have a great legacy, but unfortunately, politics is probably not going to be something you're interested in.
Yeah, I don't think there are many Bill Clintons or Howard Deans floating around out there right now. And by the way, when I look at the list of candidates for Senate, United States Senate, I'm appalled right now. These are weak AAA candidates, and one of them is going to win. And in the old days, the United States Senate was made up of a lot of great people. Now there's a lot of not great people in the United States Senate, and the bar gets lower and lower. I'm sorry, I'm getting old. It's what I see. Governor Howard Dean, the man who invented the word
Chris.
you can do this. We'll be right back after this.